Hello FlossTube, my name is Leann and I am leann.stitches here on YouTube and on Instagram. Today is Friday, December 30th, and this is a FlossTube Extra. It's been about a month since my last video, and I do not have a regular FlossTube update for you tonight. I want to talk about my New Year's Eve plans. I'm going to participate in the hashtag NYE 12 by 12. And I am going to be team half and half. So I wanted to go through my 6 whips that I'm going to be working on, as well as my 6 new starts. And I know I have no business doing 6 new starts for New Year's Eve, but you only live once, right? As you can see, I am filming in a new location. Recently, we have fixed up my office. I like to be fancy and call it the study. But this is my office, and when we first moved into this house 4 years ago, this was where I ran my business out of. And then this room that was supposed to be my office kind of just became a catch-all room. And I bought these fabulous bookshelves. I got a great deal on them, and they just kind of sat empty. And now they're filled with pretty things. And it's been my dream to have a bookshelf with a ladder. I don't know if you can see the ladder right there, but dream come true. Like that bookshelf scene, the library scene in Beauty and the Beast, that's my dream. So anyway, I thought it would be fun, since it's finally fixed up, to start filming in here. Anyway, now that we are 3.5 minutes in, how about we actually talk about some stitching? I'm going to go through my whips first, and then I'm going to go through the new starts. They are in no particular order. If you would like to see what order I plan to stitch them in, I do have a graphic up on my Instagram. Like I said earlier, that is leann.stitches. And you can see the order that I plan to start in. One more thing before we get into the stitching is I'm not going to do them 12 to 12 because I have too many things going on. I'm probably going to start at around 8 or 9 in the morning, whatever time I get up and get moving and get my kids situated. And then I have to break at around 12:30 and go to work for a little while. And then I'm going to come home and do some more stitching. And then around 6 o'clock, we're going to leave and go to some friend's house for a few hours. And I'll try to bring a stitching piece with me, but I'm not going to bring three stitching pieces and try to stitch every hour while we're chatting. I know I won't get anything done. So then when I get home, we'll see how much further I make it, and anything I don't get to on New Year's Eve, I will work on New Year's Day to finish out my plans. So if you followed that and you're still here 5 minutes later, awesome, stitching time. Okay, so the first whip I'm gonna work on is Jackrabbit by Cottage Garden Samplings. And this is something I wanted to do all of these this past year. I did the fox, I did the swans, and then I got stuck on the jackrabbit. And so I really want to focus on finishing this next year and keeping going in the series. So I figured it'd be a good project to start with on New Year's Eve. And I know this is going to be my first project of the morning/afternoon/evening. My stitching style seems to be that, especially on a piece like this that has a lot of stitching, is I will pull out a length of 6 strand floss, and I will stitch my way through it from top to bottom. And then when I run out of those 6 strands, then I pick another color and I start top to bottom, and I keep going that way just to change it up every now and then. So that's what I plan to do. Oh, this is on a piece of fabric that I dyed called Woodland. I actually dyed it specifically for this series, this pattern series. And so Forbidden Fiber Co. Woodland, it's a 32 count Belfast linen. I'm using the called for DMC, and I converted the fancy flosses to Forbidden Fiber Co. flosses. And if I had brought all my stuff with me, I could tell you what they are, but I don't remember. I know that the purple is foxglove, but it's not even on here, so I haven't gotten that far yet. Okay, my second whip is going to be Consider the Lilies by Heartstring Samplery. And I had big goals on this for 2022, and I didn't so much get to them. I lost my stitchy mojo in the middle of the year and had a hard time getting it back. So my goal had been to do a page a month, and I maybe got 3 or 4 pages done, which is not too shabby, but this is a big piece. So, let's see. There it is. So I started in the top right corner and then I stitched down. And then at the beginning of 2022 is when I decided I wanted to stitch a page a month. And so I decided I wanted to stitch through the middle because I really wanted to do the verse, consider the lilies of the field, they neither toil nor spin. That's one of my favorite Bible verses. So I really wanted to stitch that verse. I felt like it was very relevant to my year and how my year was going. And then I got distracted by the tree. So I stitched a page up instead of keeping going across. So I'm probably going to work on the tree. See it right there? Look, there's Adam with his apple. Even though we don't really know if it's an apple, because it never says apple, it just says fruit. Anyway, so that's project whip number 2. And then the third whip that I'm gonna work on, and like I said, these are in no particular order, is Hawk Run Hollow, Halloween at Hawk Run Hollow by Carriage House Samplings, which is Kathy Barrick. And I am working on this with Bobby from Pumpkin Creek Primitives, Sam from Sammy Liz, and Sarah from Memphis Sarah E. Wow, I'm having trouble with the names today. And again, I had made a goal of a block per month on this year, and I did pretty good. I really was doing good at it until midsummer sometime. And I didn't quite finish the last block that I started. And so that's what I plan to work on. Let's see. There's that. And as you can see, I'm working on the witch. Let me see if I can get this closer up. That's the block I'm working on. And I just plan to keep working on her. I started working on the bats the last time I was stitching on this. So I don't know if I'm going to work on the bats, but I kind of really want to start on the cauldron. And so I might work on that. Feels like it would be some pretty easy stitching, although no, not really, because it's flames. So at least it'd be interesting stitching because the flames are at the bottom of the cauldron. So that's my plan. Oh, the Consider the Lilies and Halloween at Hawk Run Hollow are both on 28 count cashel that I dyed myself. Neither are really colorways that are in the shop. They're just, when I was learning to dye fabric, I test dyed some of those pieces. Okay. The fourth whip that I have is Dark Queen of the Earth, and I don't have a printout of what it looks like, so I'll put a photo right there. This is Dark Queen of the Earth by Autumn Lane Stitchery. This is their SAL for, I guess, 2022, 2023. It started in September, and here's where I'm at. Let me do that. I have finished part 3. Yes, part 3. And so I have not started part 4. Part 5 comes out this January 1st. So I'm still behind, but I'm less behind than I was. And that's always a good thing, right? So I plan on working on part 4, which is like the tree stump and stuff that comes up over here. And those are my plans for that. I don't know how much I can get done in a half an hour or 45 minutes, but we'll see. This is on a 32 count Belfast linen that we dyed at the studio. It's not in the shop at the moment because we just dyed the pieces for the SAL. But basically, if you've seen my color Parliament, it is Parliament super saturated, pinks and oranges, and it's really pretty. Okay, my 5th whip is Quaker Pumpkins by Hello from Liz Mathews. I've been working on this for 2 years now. It was a birthday start in 2020, and I really want to finish it. I wanted to finish it this year, but I got distracted by all the pretty things. So here's where I'm at. And I have one more pumpkin that I have started here on the side, and that's probably what I'm going to work on. And then I just have to finish out the side border, and then I have all of the bottom, which on the pattern it says All Hallows Eve. And I'm toying with doing Autumn Harvest, which Georgia Girl Stitching charted out, and she is giving out upon request. And I am stitching this on a 32 count Mystery Even Weave in a colorway that I dyed when I was learning to dye fabric. It is the early rendition of Spearmint that is in the shop now. And I am doing my Forbidden Fiber Co. conversion that is also available in the shop. We have thread packs, we have kits with the fabric, we have everything in the shop. Okay, last whip is good old Marvel Heroes. That's upside down. I apparently like to show things upside down now. Here's where I'm at. I have a love-hate relationship with this piece. I can't find my folder that has all of my cover pages. It has gone missing. And now that I sit here and say that, I think I know where it is, but I didn't know where it was when I was prepping for this video. So you get an image right there. I probably already put it up there the second I lowered my piece. So here's where I'm at. This is the second row of pages. And I have said for 2 years now that I was going to finish this piece this year. I think I stitched about 5,000 stitches total on it this year. And there's 105,000 stitches in the chart. I am at just under 49,000. So I'm not going to lie to myself and tell myself that I'm going to finish it this year, but I am going to focus on it more this year next year than I did this year, and try to get some more done. This is for my husband, birthday / Christmas present / whenever I get it done. He knows I'm stitching it for him. My husband works for Marvel, and so I just think it would be so fun for him to get to hang this in his office. And he's very excited about it. He knows the guy who drew the artwork, so he's really excited to get to show it off to this guy that drew it. Anyway, new starts. I'm very excited about some of these. And my plan is every other hour, so I'm going to start with the Jackrabbit and then do a new start, and then whatever the next piece is, and then do a new start. So the new starts are in no particular order because, like I said, the graphic is up on Instagram. You can go look at it and it will tell you my order. Okay, these are actually in project bags for the most part, so pardon my zipping and unzipping. The first one I'm going to show you is Beautiful Things by NY.stitches. And I actually ordered some copies for the shop, and we sold out before I could nab one and start stitching it. So I ordered the PDF online last week and I kitted it up. I did the beginning of a conversion. I haven't finished it. I just converted, I think I got something for this urn, I got something for the fence, and I got the words. And I figured that's enough to get me a start. And then a lot of it is DMC, so I'm just gonna fly by the seat of my pants. I am stitching it on Primrose. I'll take it out, sorry for the crinkles. This is a 36 count. It's not showing super true to color. It's got some green in it that you can't really see in this lighting. It's better. But if you look at it compared to the chart, I really like it. So it's, like I said, it's 36 count. I plan to stitch 1/2. I said a couple of videos ago that I'm really not a 1/2 stitcher on 36 count. And then I started doing Beezy Spring for Zan's B-Day Sal, Zan Crazy Band Lady Stitches. And I started stitching 1/2 on 36 count, and I kind of liked it. So I'm lying. I'm stitching it 2/2. Ignore everything I just said, because this part right here, this floss is, it's Classic Colorworks Timber, which is a really pretty green brown variegated floss, and I just don't have anything like it. I don't tend to do variegated flosses like that. So I am going to hold Cloves and Solitary Man together, and that's why I'm stitching 2/2 on 36 count. So yes, I'm gonna hold those two together, and then the urn, I think I'm doing an Old Penny. I might actually hold this together with Cloves too and just play around with that, because the urn is this really pretty brownish color right there. And then the words I'm gonna do in Beskar, which is a really pretty brownish gray. And then the other words I'm gonna do in Oceanside. So here is my palette so far. Ooh, I've never done a floss tube like this where I talk about all my flosses. It's kind of fun. So that's what I'm looking at so far. Feels very fall, and I love it. So yes, that is New Start number 1, but not necessarily number 1. Okay, New Start number 2. This is in my Discovery of Witches project bag. It's called Absence and Desire. I love my gold tree. I have another one too in a different color. Okay, so this one is, let me take it out of the plastic because I have this ring light thing going on that's blinding me. But it's like 8 o'clock at night, 8:30 at night, so it's necessary. Plum Street Samplers, this is the day, and I got this at Market this past March, and I love it. Love it. I love the house. I love the bricks. I don't even really like pink that much, and I love this, but I just like the verse on it, and I like the sentiment behind it. And so again, I converted it to Forbidden Fabric of Floss, and again, I only did a few of the colors so far because I'm going to start stitching the house, and so that is what I focused my conversion on. And then there is, again, a lot of DMC in this, so those are my colors for the house. I already put it back in the wrapper, but maybe you can see. And I just think it's so fun. And again, I don't really like pink, but this is like a brownish reddish pink, and I dig it. And then instead of this creamy fabric that it's called for, I'm putting it on Waterfall, which is a bluish green, because I think it would be like a sunny day. And I like it. I like the way the colors pop. And that is a 40 count, and I'm going to stitch 1 over 2. Because apparently when I was picking out fabric for all of these, I decided that stitching tiny was going to be what I was going to do, which makes absolutely 0 sense for trying to do 12 projects in 12 hours. But that's where we are. Sorry for the crinkles. Okay. Next. Oh, this one. I have been wanting to start this one forever. And I told myself I was going to wait until I finished Consider the Lilies because I do not need another big sampler. But I'm not going to wait anymore because I have had this since the day it came out. And it is called Memories of the Past. And it is by Hands Across the Sea Samplers. And I don't know if you watch Nicola on YouTube, FlossTube, but I just love her. And this is one of 2 samplers I bought last year. And I want to start it. So I'm gonna. And she charts all of her designs in a Versoix. And I would love to stitch one of them in a Versoix someday, but it's just not in my budget. I tried to convert it to Fancy Floss, to Forbidden Fabric of Floss. I wasn't liking it. So I'm just gonna stitch it using the DMC conversion. And I have Tumbleweed. Oh, it's not showing up at all. You can see a little bit. It's got some browns and some tans and some golds and some greens in it. And so I just think it would be really pretty. It's a little bit brighter than the fabric that's the model stitch on, which is what I was going for. So we'll see how it goes. Again, it's 40 count because we're stitching tiny tomorrow apparently. And so I'm going to stitch that 1 over 2. But on this one, honestly, you kind of have to stitch tiny or it's going to end up being as big as Consider the Lilies because it is, hold please. It is 385 by 281. It is a big project. So I felt like my only choice was a 40 count fabric because I'm already using a ½ yard. So that's that one. The next one, I'm so excited about this one. Let me pull it out of the bag. Ooh, I've got everything in the bag. Let's pull it all out. A Parliament of Owls by Barrick. I got this one at Market. I fell in absolute love with it at Market for many reasons. Number 1, the colors, and I'm not usually a brown and yellow person at all. I'm really more grays and blues and teals, but it has the Parliament houses on it. And London holds a special place in my heart. I've been there quite a few times. Not since I've had kids, but I haven't been anywhere since I've had kids. But my husband and I went to London for our 1st anniversary and we stayed right next to the Parliament houses. And so I just love it. And then it's owls and moons, and I mean, what's not to love about it? So again, this is charted in silk. There is a DMC conversion. I did not pull any fancy flosses, so I'm gonna guess that I'm doing the DMC conversion. I am going to stitch it again, 1/2 on 40 count. Small stitching. This is granite. And it has golds, very light golds, very pale grays, and I just think it will offset the golds and browns of the pattern really beautifully. And honestly, granite is just one of my favorite fabrics that we make. I love it for Christmas, especially because it offsets all the reds and greens really well. So yes, there is that. And that one is a smaller pattern, so I tried, because if you've been watching me, you know I have a penchant for big projects. I tried to pepper in a couple of smaller projects so that I wasn't starting the year off with a ton of huge projects, at least more than I already am. But I'll get into plans at some later date. I don't really have very many 2023 plans. I just want to stitch. Okay, my next project is Mercy and Grace by Sweet Wing Studio. And if you have not heard of Sweet Wing Studio, or you have not talked to Susan, she is the sweetest lady ever. I met her at market. We were right down the hall from each other. And whenever I would walk by her room, I just would start singing, because so many of her designs are hymns. And so I can't read this, I can only sing it, and nobody needs to hear me sing. So I'm going to spare you that. But she gave this pattern to me at market. She was so sweet, and I really have wanted to stitch it, and it's been 9 months now, and so now is the time to start. And again, it's a smaller pattern. It is 129 by 79, so I feel like it's something I can finish this year. I'm not going to say soon, but this year I feel like it's something I can start and finish. And I did a conversion. She used a combination of fancy flosses and one DMC, Classic Colorworks, Gentle Arts, Weeks Dye Works. So I did a conversion into Forbidden Fiber Co. flosses. There's one color, I don't remember which one it is at the moment, but I didn't really have a color that I liked for it. So I'll probably go back and try to dye something for it. But this is what I have picked out right now. And look at that palette. It's purples and greens and so pretty, and it just makes me happy. And then the fabric I picked out is Lavender Fields, which was one of our fabric of the months last year. And I don't know that we ever got this into the shop, but I know that we've dyed it for Craft Gallery a couple times and sent it to a couple of shops. So there's that. We'll see how the purples show up on it once they're stitched. This is a 36 count. And I'm pretty sure I originally planned to stitch it 2/2. Per the conversation we had earlier that I negated after figuring out that I was going to stitch 2/2 instead of 1/2. Just because this hill, I kind of want to have it nice and filled in. So I think I'm going to do 2/2, but I'll figure it out when I start stitching and see what looks good. Okay, my last start of the night is going to be the original New Year's Eve start I planned before I went crazy. Miss New Year's Eve Fairy by Mirabilia. Well, Sarah from Memphis, Sarah E, very kindly lent me her pattern. And so we were at 901 Stitchers, so I went ahead and kitted it up while I was at 901 Stitchers with the called for Classic Colorworks. I think some of these are left over from my Easter Fairy, like the Bella Rosa is the skin. And so this, I did pull some of the leftovers that were used in both. Some of the blues are the same too. And then I'm going to stitch it on this piece of gray linen that I have no idea where I got it, where it came from. It looks like it honestly might be even weave, not linen. Yes, I would call this even weave. And I would guess it's 32 count. We'll find out. Hopefully it's at least 32 count because it has beads. Oh, this is in my other Absence and Desire project back. We did teal and gold and red and silver. So yay. it's fun to actually get to use some of our project bags. I normally just use the plastic ones from Amazon. Okay, that concludes my New Year's Eve whips and starts. I still have one more to show you though, because I totally got roped into this one by Museum Stitcher, by Kansas City Girl in a Colorado World via Museum Stitcher, because she showed it on her last YouTube video, FlossTube video. And it's Beatrix Potter by Stitchy Box Samplers. This is the Beatrix Potter Quaker sampler. And I'm slightly obsessed with Beatrix Potter. There's nothing on here that's like Peter Rabbit or anything like that. So I can honestly say at this moment, I don't know what makes it the Beatrix Potter Quaker sampler. I'm gonna have to look into that. But I have loved Beatrix Potter since I was a kid. I had the entire collection of Peter Rabbit and Friends books, the little tiny kids books. And I just used to read them all the time. And then when my senior year of college, I worked 3 jobs on top of studying for the CPA exam. And I saved up my entire senior year. And I backpacked through Ireland, Scotland, and England by myself. It was my graduation present to myself. And I pretty much booked my entire trip around 2 things. One was Wimbledon, so I could go watch Wimbledon because I used to be a tennis player once upon a time. And 2 was going to see the Beatrix Potter Gardens in Dunkelnden, Burnham in Scotland. And it was a lonely trip because it was the only place I had to stay in a hotel instead of a hostel. So I wasn't around anybody else my age. I wasn't around anybody else traveling. I stayed there for 2 days and I spent an entire day in those gardens and all of that. And just seeing the little Peter Rabbit statues and Benjamin Bunny and just all of the things. And I loved it. It was so beautiful. And then for our 4th anniversary, my husband and I rented a car and flew to London and drove all around England. And we hit places that I didn't get to see when I was backpacking by myself because I tended to go the I did go the southern route when I was backpacking and went to like Arundel, and I had a thing for castles and botanical gardens on that trip. And so when we rented a car, we went the opposite direction and went up and went to Newcastle on Tyne and saw Hadrian's Wall and got as close to Scotland as we could get in 8 days. And then we came back down and drove through the Lake District, which is where Beatrix Potter is from. So yes, I'm obsessed with Beatrix Potter. And when my 2 older kids were little, I used to read them Peter Rabbit almost every night. We would go through 4 or 5 books a night, and I read them Beatrix Potter. And one of my most favorite moments of them when they were little was, because they're really close in age, they're only 21 months apart, and I sneaked up on them. They shared a room when we lived in LA because we had a small house. And my daughter, Noelle, who couldn't have been more than 18 months at the time, was flipping through Peter Rabbit, and she was reading it to Logan, who was, 4-ish at the time. And she was just saying things like, I can hear her little voice in my head and I can't get the words out of my mouth, but eating the radishes, and just the words coming out of her mouth were such big words that were used in the book that she obviously wasn't reading, but she had memorized from all the times that I read to her. So when I saw Bridget at the Museum Stitcher pull this up, I said, I have to get on this Sal. I bought the pattern right away, and this is going to be my New Year's new start. And there's another Sal that Colorado Cross Stitcher is doing, and I ordered the pattern for that, and I think they're doing a New Year's new start, but I'm just going to start it at some point early in the year. I haven't picked anything out, but yes, so I am doing it on Countess, which is just this really light pale gray with really gentle modeling because the color is almost non-existent, but it gives the fabric a blue toned gray as opposed to a yellow toned ivory cream that it is in its natural state. So again, 40 count, tiny stitching. And then I have this hank. This is our garnet colorway that was an oopsie. and I'm not going to get into the story of that, but it ended up being cut too short for us to use in skeins. And so I have a ton of it, and I'm going to use this, and I just think it's going to be really, really pretty. And it lends itself to the original, where it's got more of like a pinky, orangey red, and this is a little bit darker, but I like the way it pops off the gray, because again, I'm not really a yellow and brown person. I'm really more of a gray person. So yes, that is my New Year, New Start. That will likely not happen on New Year's Day, but it will happen at some point. Yeah, I can't believe I talked for 38 minutes about New Year's Eve 12 by 12, but here we are. I like to talk a little bit, and it's been a while since I've seen you. So anyway, I am going to be back. Like I said, my January 1st is normally when I do my whip parade, but our day got really busy. And number one, it's a Sunday, so we have church, and that means we don't get home till around 12 or 1, depending on if we go out to lunch after. And then we have plans with friends after that at some point. I don't know what time. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do my whip parade on January 2nd. And then I have all day, because January 3rd, I have to go back to work. So yes. Anyway, that's all I have for you tonight. I'm going to see if I can edit out some of this chatting so you're not listening to me talk and talk and talk for 39 minutes. I hope you're having a good week. And if you're joining in on 12 by 12, drop me a comment, let me know. Give me your Instagram profile so I can watch your progress. Or if you have a video that you posted, I want to see what you're doing. And yeah, I will see you again on my whip parade. Bye.